Do you ever listen to these, Nate? Do you ever listen to, I feel like I hate
Yeah.
my voice. Yeah. You hate my voice,
No,
dude?
no, exactly how I feel about my voice. Like
Okay,
I
well,
feel like I sound like a different person on here.
no, you sound like a smart black dude, which actually is who you are. So it works out pretty good. But all right, here we go.
I wish those were the facts.
All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. We are excited. This is kind of, for us at least, Nate, yeah, this is a milestone episode, 50. This is episode 50 of Tackle and
Absolutely.
Tacos, a fishing podcast. And when we very first started this podcast, almost exactly a year ago, I never had I guess I would say I had goals, but I never had like specific, like, this is where I think it's going to go, because like it's a podcast. There's
Hmm.
12 million of them out there. So like, let's have fun with it. Let's talk to people about tacos. Let's talk to people about fishing, learn some stuff from types of fishing that we don't know about. And if it goes for 2 months, dope. If it keeps rolling after, you know what I'm saying? And so to be at 50
Yeah,
feels
yeah,
pretty,
for
I don't
sure.
know, feels pretty rad.
Yeah, I'm stoked about it for sure. So I think we've got a good thing going. We just got to keep it rolling. Keep these
Yeah,
good
for
guests
sure.
coming. That's what we got to do. So
Yeah. And I
I'm
think we got a
excited for
really
this one.
good one. Yeah, we got a good one tonight.
Yeah.
This is a dude who, like, in the best possible way, this dude is a hustler. Dude's a grinder. He's a worker. Before we get to the Champlain kid, Cole Harris, who is fishing multiple pro level tournament trails. Like, that's kind of past my brain's ability to grasp it. Cause like
Yeah, that's
when
an
I was,
absolute hustle.
oh my gosh, dude, when I fish like multiple
Yeah.
local derbies and they're like, there's one that's one day and one that's like 2 days later. I'm like, oh man,
Yeah.
like I'm like stressed out to like wash the boat and fuel it up. And this dude's doing like top level stuff all over the freaking country. But before we get into that guy and bring him in, which we're excited to do, Nate, break us off with some business stuff, websites, sponsors, socials, all that cute junk.
Yeah. Well, all the social stuff is at the usual Tackle and Tacos, tackleandtacos.com, where the
Yep.
website's at, where we got merch,
Merch.
hats, shirts, all the good stuff. And of course, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, where we'll air a good portion of our episodes. I think we've been doing pretty good
Pretty
putting out
much
some
all of it,
video
especially when they have
podcasts.
guests. Yeah.
Yeah,
Put them out.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So I'm stoked about that, and of course, thanks to the people who kind of help us out with this, the
No
Working
doubt.
Class Bowhunter
Yeah.
and the Working Class Bowhunter Podcast Network, letting us be a part of what we do here.
Yeah.
Waypoint TV, where that we
Yep.
air all our stuff. Our newest sponsor, of course, Leopold Performance Eyewear.
Oh, you keep on going to
Man,
Leopold, huh? You keep on going Leopold.
I I've said Leopold for
Yeah.
far too long, probably.
I don't, and
But
again,
yeah,
I don't know that
Loophole
that's not it.
Performance Update.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I don't have
So
like an
yeah.
argument to
So
make. I just know they make the dopest sunnies like I've ever used. Like literally, actually,
yeah.
not because they're a sponsor. They're just perfect.
Yeah. I've had so many people ask me about them. Are those Loophole? Is that what that is? Are those like
Them's
so
Leopolds?
many people asking? Yeah, I've had so many people ask me about them. So definitely stoked about that.
Yeah.
Giltech and Hook and Arrow Supply.
Yep.
So yeah,
Let me press pause real quick
we're
on the Giltech one. Hold on, because we
go
we
ahead.
talk
You got
about
some
this.
juice?
Yeah, I got some jigs here, like in the package and some stuff. But like I've talked
Okay.
about this a couple times, and last week we sold a few like orders, whatever, of like shirts and hats and sticker sheets and whatever. And one of the people hit me up and said, "Hey, what are those tube head things you've been talking about, the Giltech ones on the podcast?" And so
Yeah.
I have a couple packages. Like these are some of the classic Giltech things, like the jigs, black blue jig. You literally can't ever go wrong with that. This is a heavy cover. This is another dope one. I think this one's
Absolutely.
called just bluegill. It's a kind of a unique take on bluegill. Kind of looks like that Bama craw, like that kind of iridescent blue. And then this is the northern
Yes.
swim jig we talk about a lot. That has the where's Lola when I need her? It has the clear
Got that
weed guard.
clear. Yeah.
But this is the really dope one. So these tube heads, yeah, I can't speak to the level of design like the homie Dan from Great Lakes Finesse, but I do know that Giltech, Brian spends his time developing everything from
Yeah.
CAD stuff to 3D to hand sketching, and then goes from there. And so this tube head is very specifically designed, hook size, angle of the eye tie, and then the big thing with this one, this is called the Marabou tube head, and you can kind of see it there if I get close enough.
Yep. No, that looks good. Okay.
So what you have is a tube jig head with marabou built into. It's not like it's like taped on. I don't know if you'll be able to see that or not, but it's actually in the metal of the jig pour.
Poured into the lead. Right. Yeah. You
And
can
so
just
what
barely
happens
out,
there?
but
This is the olive one. This one is my favorite, the chartreuse, especially, you know, them smallmouth. They get all fired up over bright colors and stuff. But the rad thing about this is so it moves like a regular tube, kind of like the flying minnow, or what was that called? The flying lure, you know,
the
like that kind
flying
of,
lure. Yeah.
yeah, kind of like that forward strolling. I don't mean hover strolling, although they are kissing cousins in a certain way, but that sort of forward motion. But then with the marabou on it, when you're not really, and it's pretty long, when you're not really doing anything else, that marabou will still just have this little bit of flutter, this little bit of like kind of movement in the water, especially if there's current, and that can drive
Yeah.
fish crazy because very often, you know, snapping a tube or what is that called? Stupid tube. There's other ways to fish them. That's a
Right.
lot of movement, but when you slow it down, do something subtle, and you get that little bit of hair moving, it's a killer. And they're built really well. I have some of these in my boat that I've been using for literally years, and the hair is still on it, like it's not pulled out. So I just wanted to press pause because people have asked about it, and they're really dope.
Yeah, I think you paused about at the right time as you grabbed those jigs right off of our presenting sponsor, Kenai Gear, the cooler right there. So that's about perfect. Gotta say thank you to Kenai
Yeah.
and Grizzly Coolers.
Yeah.
So I think that about wraps it up. I'm stoked to just get this guest in here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, like we said before, I think most of well, I guess besides like Luke Duncan and some other folk, but a lot of like the pro fishermen we've had on the show have been BASS, like Elite Series fishermen, or Bass Opens guys or whatever. And there's no reason to that. We are not one teeny
Zero. Yeah.
iota anti BPT, MLF stuff. We're not one teeny iota anti NPFL stuff. It's just never really like, I guess Luke Duncan is NPFL, but he doesn't fish anyway. But
Hmm.
we just never really had a dude on. And so then I'm talking to Nate, and Nate's like, oh, there's this dude that, you know, we follow on Insta who fishes both. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, how the frick do you
Yeah.
fish both? Like that, how's that even, that's like, I don't know how to even describe that. Like, oh, I play in the NBA and I play in like European NBA, you know, like just because
Yeah.
whatever, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And so the guy we're about to have on, like I said, is a grinder, good fisherman. From everything I know about him, seems like a good dude, family man, just welcomed his second child into the world. And so we're
Heck
really
yeah.
excited to learn from, to talk to the guy they call the Champlain Kid, Mr. Cole Harris.
How you guys doing?
Hey.
Hey, how are you, man?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm out
Yeah.
here hanging out in the garage by myself.
Okay. Me too. We're in
That's
the
right.
same boat,
Right.
actually. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
So, Cole Harris, thank you for being on the podcast tonight, man. We're really excited about this one. Before we get into, because I want to ask like all kinds of questions about you, family, life, sponsors, whatever. But like right out of the gates, dude, like how on earth are you fishing both of these tournament trails?
I'm not.
Okay.
um, I was going to, and I was
Mm,
supposed to, but due
okay.
to some last minute sponsorship changes,
Oh, okay.
I had to pull out from the full, I guess, Taco Warehouse tour. So
Oh, okay.
I'm just gonna cherry pick it now because you're allowed to. So I'm just
Yeah.
gonna pick some tournaments that I like Champlain maybe, and I'm gonna fish some
Perfect.
Toyotas and basically because the NPFL schedule is spread out nicely,
Mm.
I'm able to fish more and cherry pick. So
Oh, that's kind of cool.
it was kind of nice knowing that I had a couple months or whatever in between the first and second tournament to just kind of prepare for that. Usually you're just rushing full bore
Right.
and you're home for a week or three maybe and you're right back out the door if you come home. So,
Yeah.
it's nice to be able to fish a lot of stuff again.
Yeah. Well, right
Definitely.
on, man. So you
Yeah.
are, but I mean, you are still
Yeah. That.
involved in both MLF and
I am. I
NPFL.
am.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just, I was being funny about it. But yeah, no, I'm fishing both plus some, I'm fishing more around the house. I've lived in North Carolina now for almost, I guess, 3 years, and
Okay.
to say that I've actually put in a full day of fishing, maybe a handful of times since I've moved here. It's always been, 4 hours here, 4 hours
Hmm.
there. So it's
Right.
nice to fish around the house and get my butt kicked for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. Right
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
man.
The
Yeah.
did the move to North Carolina, was that like just to kind of get more centrally located for tournament, or
It
what kind of
was.
Hmm.
yeah.
It took probably a solid 6 years to convince my wife, to move from home. But
Yeah.
honestly, I think what did is I stopped shoveling the driveway and and I was like, and see how much this sucks, and
Yeah.
now we're here and it's not 40 below zero, and you
Right.
know 2 months of summer and I can fish year round. It's centrally located, and I have a lot of family close by, within an
Okay.
hour, so that's nice too. And
Yeah.
and
Yeah, that's awesome.
it's just it sounds like a long drive, but it's 10, 11 hours home. It's a day drive if we want to get there, and it's not bad. We like it here. It was a good move.
Yeah. Good for you, man. And so, just to be
That's
clear,
awesome.
Champlain kid. So you're from what, like Vermont, like upstate New
I'm from
York? Where are you?
Vermont.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm from Grand Isle, Vermont. Right on the in the Champlain Islands, right on the lake.
Wow.
So it was it's beautiful in the summer. In the
Yeah.
winter, it is really cold.
Yeah. I mean, me and
Yeah.
Nate are from the Midwest. He's Iowa, I'm Wisconsin. So yeah,
Yeah.
we definitely get that for sure.
Yeah.
So let's back up a little bit if you're okay with it, Cole.
Yeah.
Who I don't want to sound like Dr. Phil here or like try and get all deep and profound, but like who are you? Like where did you get started in fishing? What do you care
Yeah.
about? Like who is, the Champlain kid?
Um, I started out as hell on wheels, basically. My dad jokes that I was riding wheelies on a four-wheeler before I could ride a bicycle.
Okay, that's
That
awesome.
that 3, 4 year old range. And
Oh my
we
gosh.
we moved a couple miles down the road, and our neighbor he raced dirt bikes, and he kind of was like my bigger brother. I felt like he was, and I would go to races with him and his family, and I guess slowly started to want to do it myself. I mean, I guess I immediately wanted to do it, but I slowly wanted to find a way to race. Um, and my dad wasn't having it, basically. I mean, I had I had a four wheeler and I did all the stuff, but the racing part, that wasn't going to happen. And so I
Okay.
would basically go to the races with my friend and his family and race his stuff.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Yeah,
And
sweet.
yeah, and it got to a point
Yeah.
where my dad would see people at a store or something, and they'd be like, "Hey, your kid did good this weekend," and he'd just be like, "What are you talking about?"
Oh
And
gosh.
he was kind of forced into liking it. So
Okay.
I raced I raced four
That's
wheelers
funny.
and dirt bikes and basically anything I could that had a motor. I was trying to race it, and it got me in trouble from time to time, and lost my license a few times, and
Dang.
may have ran from some police, and just hell on wheels. And
Yeah.
there came a
Right.
point to where it just was time to stop. Had too many injuries,
I
and
was just gonna ask motocross, you get messed up, right?
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
pretty
definitely.
standard.
And so I had to like just cold. I say cold turkey. It sounds silly, but I did. I had to just kind of get rid of everything, because
Yeah.
if I were to bring one home tomorrow, I would probably get right back into it. So I sold everything and was kind of lost a little bit, I guess. And I had always fished. I remember being 4 or 5 years old. I'd go down to the dock with my little four wheeler and I'd catch a bowfin, like 3, 4 foot long bowfin, be scared to death of it. And I would drag
Right.
it across the grass with the four wheeler to have my dad unhook it. And I would drag
That's
it all the way
amazing.
back. I'd drag it all the way back to the water, and I'd let it go, and I'd catch another one. And I was really young, and I've always just loved fishing. But after the whole racing and all that, I just kind of started to fish more. And my wife now, girlfriend back then, it's kind of cool because we started this whole thing together. We were fishing in like a kayak or a canoe, and it was windy on Champlain. And I remember saying like, this isn't going to happen anymore. Like, this is stupid. So I convinced my dad to co-sign on a little tin bass boat, and
Oh,
that's
that's
where the
awesome.
whole obsession began. I
Okay.
honestly lucked out on the whole fishing kind of for a living thing. My salesman for that aluminum boat was actually an original like Ranger pro, I guess, from '70s. You know, he was an
Oh
OG
wow.
and still is to this day on Champlain, and he took me under his wing and taught me everything I know. And I
Wow.
started at the club level, and I went up through the ranks, and it was a hustle. It really was. It still is.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of my story. And I remember being in Plattsburgh for a FLW. I don't know what tournament it was. It was one of the bigger ones. And I remember telling my wife, I'm like, I want to do that. Like, I want to be on that stage. And
Mm.
I don't know how many years later it happened. And it was a big deal. It was cool. It
Yeah.
was like a accomplished moment for sure.
Wow, man. Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
How old were you when like you did the transition from the motocross to the fishing?
I was early 20s probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shoot, I was early 20s. So it's been a solid 15 years probably, maybe
Yeah.
more.
Are you, Cole, are you kind of like a naturally competitive person? Are you a hyper competitive person? Like when you stop racing, because some people could ride a dirt bike for fun, or some
Yeah.
people could fish for fun, but like you raced and then you fished competitively. Is that kind of how your vibe is?
Yeah, if I'm going to do something,
Mhm.
I'm like all in. You
Yeah.
know, I
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know like I'm just not going to like I don't see the point in doing something if it's just going to be half-assed. And
Absolutely.
I'm about that for like everything. I mean, I can't just give it 80%. It's got to be, I'm going to tournament fish, so why not just try to be a professional? I guess that's, it's like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm
it
gonna
makes
Yeah.
sense.
I'm gonna shovel snow, so I'm gonna be the best at it and do it as fast as I can do it and
Yeah.
save time in my day. Like that's just kind of I'm crazy like that, I guess.
No, I like that. Yeah, that's logical, dude. That
No,
makes a ton
yeah,
of sense to me.
for sure.
Yeah.
It's
Yep. I've
really
looked.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I just was gonna say I've looked at stuff kind of the same way. If you're not doing it to the fullest of your potential, you're kind of just wasting time.
Why
So
do it?
it's exactly, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
like it,
I
man.
just I have that mindset of it's it's going to be fun, or it should be fun, or else I don't want to do it. I just
Yeah.
don't want to.
Yeah.
I'll completely just like cut it out. It's
Yeah,
I'm
that's
I'm that
dope.
way about like mountain biking or just like I'll show you right here. Like we started out, my kid is 2, and I put a battery drill in one of those electric cars for the kids that they sit in,
Oh
and
yeah.
it
Yeah.
just it wasn't good enough for me. So I had to go out and get this gas powered Jeep with shocks that can go in the mud, and it does 45 miles an hour. And so now we have the coolest car in our neighborhood.
That's awesome. Dude, I love that, dude. Heck yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I guess I'm sick like that. I
No,
have
I
to
like it, dude.
go over the top.
Yeah. But honestly though,
It's
I bet
that's
go ahead, Nate.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, it's super funny. My my daughter was just asking me for one of those like last week. Like she thinks that's what we need to run around our yard and stuff here. And we did the same thing. Had the drill powered power wheels, and I had
Yeah.
to put new motos that were you know 40,000 RPM or something, so they went even faster. And then they burned those up, and
Yeah.
now they're wanting something just like that. So that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's dope,
I'm
man.
telling you, you need one. It's a 3
That's
speed.
awesome.
It has reverse. I mean, it's awesome. I love
That's
driving
what's up.
it.
I
Heck,
bet you look good driving it too.
I do.
Just fold it in there.
We rip up and down the road, and she has a blast. And shoot, one time we had like 8 kids on this thing from the neighborhood just
Oh
just
my
rolling
gosh.
around.
That's dope, dude.
Yeah.
So I bet
Yeah.
though,
That
honestly,
is.
like on a certain level, like I would assume, yeah, I don't know. I feel like the sponsorship game talk is kind of a, I don't know if I'd say a hot button thing still, but like when Jacob Fouts put out that video a couple months ago, kind of, at least from his perspective, kind of exposing what sponsorship is and blah, 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 blah. And I feel like then sponsorship started getting talked about more and more. And so I don't want to necessarily go down that route, but like, I feel like your vibe of like all in, balls out, 10 or 0, I feel like that's got to appeal to sponsors, no?
Man.
Because I feel like I'm just thinking like if I owned a company called like, I don't know, Jordan's Lures or something, and I had a dude like you come and be like, dude, if I'm gonna fish your lures, like I'm 100% in through and through, it's in my blood, whatever. Or a guy who's like, hey man, I guess I could. Like I would much rather go with the dude who's full
Yeah.
blown. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just seeing it wrong.
So going up through the years with Instagram and me trying to make it to to a professional level and all that, I feel like I kind of got caught up in the follow the leader. What is that guy doing? I got to do
Mm,
that to get a sponsorship. And until the last,
Right.
I guess, few years, I was almost like a drone, doing what they did.
mm,
And until I found my own style and realized that, like, if people don't like me for me, then you know
sure. Yeah,
basically,
absolutely.
Yeah.
you
Yeah. Without a
know,
doubt.
yeah. So including sponsors, and that's the truth. Like I kind of just realized that, like, if they don't like me for who I am, then maybe we shouldn't be, a team. And I've gained some sponsors because of that, and they really appreciate that, and you know, like that I'm just myself and say it how it is, and kind of get myself in trouble sometimes, and so we're in this, I feel like, transformation of, finding myself or bettering myself to the public or the people that watch me, or my fans or whatever. I don't want to be like somebody else or anybody else. You're you and I'm me, and I think that the fishing world kind of got sucked into you got to be the professional, and that professional wears the same shirt and the same hat and the same glasses, and you
Yeah.
talk alike, and you have the same boat, and that guy has that, so I have to have it, right down to
Mm,
like what you drive. And it's just, I honestly think it's time for a change in the fishing world, where, like, you got to be you. Like Milliken is doing it himself.
mm-hmm.
He basically, he is himself, and he swears, and he just
Right.
he just that's just how he is. and
Yeah.
and I really
Yeah.
feel like there needs to be more of that, and we're all kind of hush hush about who we really are, and I don't know why
Yeah.
it's like that, and I'm not going to do that
Dude.
anymore. And
Well
I kind
put.
of started, like, the last few years. I'm just being me. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. That's beautiful, man. Okay, so quick question,
Yeah.
then
For
follow
sure.
up. Is Milliken Ike 2.0?
I don't know him, and honestly, I never really even followed him until recently.
Okay.
But what I see is pretty sweet, and I like his vibe and what he's
Yeah.
doing, and I still think he's being a little sheltered. I think I am too, because you don't want to
Sure.
go too far.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that people are noticing how authentic he is, and that's why he's, gaining so fast. I think more people are going to start being themselves because of him,
Wow.
or what's going on in the fishing industry.
Yeah, that's a big statement. I think so. Like one of my favorite fishermen is Mike Iaconelli, and I think it's
Hmm.
because when I first started fishing tournaments, back like mid to late 2000s, like he was kind of in full swing. You know, he had won the classic in what, '03, I think. Um, and he
Yeah.
the same kind of deal. Like
Two or three.
yeah, he was himself, like to the level of like it, cool, don't like it, also cool. And you're
Yeah.
you're dead nuts on, Cole. Like fishing for the longest time had this very sort of like vanilla vibe, and like some people that's just who they are, and that's great, but some people aren't. and they were kind of pretending to be for the name of sponsorships or fitting or what, you know what I'm saying? And then like Ike came along and was like, F that. And like you said, cussing, like Ike got like fined in Major League Fishing for cussing on live one time. And yeah, man, I don't know. I think people should definitely be who they're supposed to be and not, I don't know. There's something free about it, you know, but
let's be real. If the fishing industry is lacking money, you know, the professional side of it, you know, like we deserve to win way more than we win. We deserve to have more money in sponsorship than we get.
Totally.
But there's just not that much money in this world. And I think if more anglers, more professionals, more people in general in the fishing world were themselves and just let it rip, and who cares what people think, I think it would create drama, and the drama would bring more people. Sure. I mean, you know, it's like UFC or basketball or anything. If there's any little deal going on with a player, it's on the news, it's here, it's there, and we don't have any drama. like what happens in professional fishing tournament, you know, this.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I mean, let's start being ourselves and cussing at people, and you know, like, let's just show what it's really like.
Yep.
You know, I mean, you want to make this interesting and have fans, like, let's show what really goes on and what people say and how many rods that I smash on the side of my boat in a tournament. You know, like, no one sees that stuff. You know, like, I make up swear words sometimes. I just
Yeah,
dude. Yeah, that's relatable as heck.
It's for sure though. There's a lot of it that's like over glamorized, you know, that, you know, a lot of people just, you know, want to show the bright shiny parts. You know, like I said, a lot of the real life stuff that gets left out, and that's I like what you're saying. We definitely need to see more of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's right down to like what people who follow fishing think. You know, like they're like, this happened one time. Somebody asked me like, "Oh, you must be on salary for, you know, for this sponsorship," or I forget how it went down, but he thought I was like on a salary of, you know, like a couple $100,000 a year, just one sponsor, and I was just like, no, you know, I know people who do this for a free pair of socks. You know, that's sticker.
Right.
You know, like they you know, like, people think that we're out there making millions and millions of dollars. It's wild. It's if I wish a lot of people knew what it was actually like to be a professional bass fisherman.
Yeah. We put something on our social the other day for Tackle and Tacos. I don't know if you ever follow, Cole, that YouTube channel, Lynn Dollar. It's like all those old school like Bassmaster tournaments and whatever. And I was watching one. No. It's pretty dope. Like, just seeing the different, like, the jerseys back then, everybody's tucking in their shirts with like the patches sewed on and whatever. And I think there was one from, I think it was 02 out on the Delta, and they were like, here we are, blah, blah, blah. And the winner of this tournament wins $100,000. And I was like, holy crap, that was 22 years ago. And they're fishing for the same money they're fishing for now. Like, that's
wild.
That's pretty crazy, man. Like, you don't have to be an economy expert to realize something's a little weird there. You know, 22 years later, and you're fishing for the same money, even though everything else is quadrupled in price, bass boats to rods to line to everything else, but you're fishing for the same moolah. Like, something's weird there.
Your bass boat alone is worth more than you're going to win if you're coming first. I mean, it's what was it back then? A bass boat was what, $5,000, $4,000? I don't even know.
Yeah, probably early 2000s. Like, a high-end one was probably 20. I mean,
was it that much? Yeah,
I think, but it ain't what it is now. That's for dang sure. Like, nowhere near it. Yeah,
it's crazy.
It is wild.
I wonder what entry fees were, and I wonder if anybody like.
Oh, that's a good question.
How much entry fees have gone up since then, but you know, no real change in payout or you know, anything like that. Yeah, it's
I thought there was a period where there were no entry fees, weren't there?
There was Major League Fishing was all anal about that. I think Bass did that for a little bit, but everything kind of.
That was probably right around the time that ESPN bought them, and they had all kind. It seemed like they had all kinds of money.
Yeah, they had silly money back then.
While.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree. That was kind of the heyday. But well, let's just transition into something a little bit different. our show, Cole, is called Tackle and Tacos, based off this idea forever ago where myself and my wife and Nate were going to start a tackle shop, and we would sell one specific kind of taco every day at the tackle shop just because we love tacos and it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me something, Cole. Are you a taco fan, and what is the last taco you ate?
I am a taco fan.
Attaboy.
I'm a simple taco fan.
Okay. All right. What do you got?
I'm just a meat, cheese, some
Yeah.
lettuce, and some more cheese, and
Okay.
and I just like it simple and it, filled to the top, and that's just how I like it. I don't know. No
Attaboy.
veggies, no veggies.
Oh, snap. None. No lettuce.
No,
No.
well, just a little lettuce, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. That's
And
what's
I
up.
I like the soft shell over the hard shell with
Oh, you like
melted
that, like the
cheese in
double decker
between.
thing?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That is
Okay.
really good. That's a good texture
What they
deal,
call
dude.
that,
Because
the Taco Bravo or something back in the day.
is there a name for it? I didn't know it was called something. It is
I
perfect
don't know.
texture wise.
Yeah, I think like Taco Bell ran that for a while, where they called it like a Taco Bravo or
Taco
something
Bravo.
of that nature. Yeah,
That's dope,
yeah, like
dude.
forever ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, what would you say? What's your go-to meat? Just, if you're a simple guy, just standard ground beef or steak.
We kind of mix it up. We do, fish sometimes, steak, beef. We have a lot of venison around. I deer hunt, so we try to get rid of
Nice.
that. But just really anything, to be honest with you. I'm not really picky. Sometimes I just get one of each. Yeah.
That's smart.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a good way to do it.
So if you're a little picky, what is a condiment or a topping that will ruin a taco right away for you?
Will ruin it.
Vegetables.
Yeah, you go out to eat, you order some tacos, they come to your table side, and you got X on them. You're not touching
And you're like,
it.
dang it.
Yeah.
I don't really like salsa on my taco.
Wow. Okay.
But I'm trying to think of the name of the little leaf they put on
Cilantro?
it. Yeah, no, that's a done
You're not a
deal.
cilantro dude. So
No.
I will say I love cilantro on tacos, but like cilantro could be the like grossest thing ever if you were ever just going to eat something by itself. Like pretty much every other something, like tomatoes, you could eat a tomato by itself or let it, but like nobody's eating cilantro because it smells and kind of feels and tastes like dish soap. But when you put it on a taco, for some reason, it's really dope, and I don't understand how that works, but it totally
Yeah.
does. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's not that weird that you just said that.
No, I can't do it. I can't do the smell. I can't just
I can't
and
do
it ruins like the whole meal. I just get a little bit of that leaf and
Yeah.
it's just like, nope,
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's good. I just wanted to bounce it off you. We didn't even talk to you about that beforehand, I don't think.
Yeah.
But is there anywhere like do y'all like when you and your wife and your kiddos go out to eat? Do you ever go to a taco spot? Is there a local place that's really good?
Yeah, there's a real nice I guess it'd be a Mexican restaurant, probably
Yeah.
15 minutes from here. It's
Nice.
huge. We're small town stuff in Vermont. There's like 600,000 people in the whole state.
Right.
There's a couple million in Raleigh alone. But when we showed up to this Mexican place for the first time, it was just, to me, it's like Costco for Mexican food.
That's dope.
And I'm like, the place was packed. The parking lot was packed. What if I was a nightclub or something? And we walk in, and I mean, it was literally packed. And they had us in there 10 minutes. I swear to you, we were out of there in 45 minutes. We had our food, we ate, we
Wow.
had drinks. Like, it was the best service, best food, and we've never stopped going there. It's an awesome place.
All right. What's that place called?
I have no idea.
Dang it. All right. I wanted to give them a shout out, but I guess you'll
Yeah,
have to look it up,
no, I don't. I honestly don't know.
it's all good. So if you're in the North Carolina area,
Yeah.
there's a go look for the Mexican place that looks like a Costco.
Yeah,
And it's like super fast at expediting the service, and you'll
that's right.
you'll be in the right
It's
spot.
it's in Clayton, North Carolina. Just saying.
Okay, Clayton, North Carolina.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
it is. You're
No,
being fired that way.
I can't remember much.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, yeah.
What was Nate? What was that one when we had Jay Yellis on? What was the name of that place? You remember?
Nah, I don't remember, but he put that parsley stuff on his tacos that he
Oh
didn't
yeah,
get
yeah.
down
He
with.
said
So
parsley instead of cilantro.
yeah,
He said soft taco instead of soft shell taco. And I think the restaurant he went to was called like Super Oscars or something, like some really
Oh,
dope,
nice.
funny, yeah, hole in the wall type name. But
yeah.
yeah, that was a funny one for sure. Dude, so I know Nate wants to ask you about it, but I'm gonna jump off of the question. Then Nate, you can follow up. Dude, tell us about that
Okay.
Blazer. That's a bad mamma jamma.
I love that boat.
Yeah,
And I'm not saying that because they sponsor me or because I'm supposed to, because
because they pay
if
you
you
Right.
hundreds of
if
thousands a year.
yeah, if you follow me, on Instagram
On
or my social
salary.
media, you
Yeah,
know
on
that
salary.
I'm, going to tell you how it is, and if it sucks, I'm going to say, don't buy that.
Yeah,
But that's a bad bitch. Just
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
I've had skeeters pretty much since day one. I had a
Okay.
G3, like I was talking to my aluminum boat, and then I would just went right into a skeeter, and I had probably 4 or 5 of them, because on Champlain, nothing really holds up. Doesn't matter what you're in, it just
Mm,
pounds your
Right.
boats.
sure.
I mean, there's a point I remember I took the drain plug out of my skeeter, and nuts and bolts came out in my hand, and I'm just
Oh
kind
my
of like,
gosh.
where does this go? But
Yeah.
Jeez.
Geez.
That's not good.
we moved to North Carolina, and I had a skeeter, and it was just time for a new boat. A year and a half, 2 years, 60,000 miles on the trailer. It was just time for a new one. And Hank Cherry, a buddy of mine, called
Mm,
me, and he said, I know you're looking for a boat, and you're kind of balling on a budget, and there's a place by me that has a Blazer they have to get rid of. It's a holdover, and honestly, I was like, "What is a Blazer?" I didn't know.
Right.
I mean, we don't have Blazers up north. We have Skeeters and Rangers. Like
yep, yep.
old man boats is what
Yeah.
I call them. And so he sent me pictures of it, and he said it's worth you checking out. And all honesty, they told me the price, and I'm like, damn, I have to buy this just because of the price. It was a huge discount, and it was a good deal. I could afford it, and I was
Mhm,
excited. And I got in it, first test drive, or not test drive, after I owned it, I got in it and took it to break it in,
mhm.
and hit 60 miles an hour and scared me silly. It was chine walking everywhere. I couldn't drive it.
Really?
Yeah, like I was like, oh my God, like maybe I don't want this. If
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
ever if you ever
Jeez.
been in a skeeter, you could do 68, 69 miles an hour with a coffee in your hand, talking
Yeah,
to
they
your
don't. Yeah, they don't
buddy.
walk. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's just
you never see people driving through it in a scooter.
no,
Never,
no. Like
never.
half the time, maybe their feet up. Like
Yeah, right.
there's
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Those and those big heavy Rangers, they're just chilling.
yeah,
They're
and
getting
I was,
past,
yeah,
but they're stable.
yeah, and so I was on the Blazer. I think it's like Blazer owner forum on Facebook, and I was just reading everybody's stuff all the time, trying to figure out how to drive this boat because I was told it was fast.
Mhm.
I think the best I ever did was maybe 65. I don't know, but I was disappointed.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so I somehow got in contact with, the rep there at the time, who recently just left, Chris Williams, who became a good friend of mine. And to be honest, I thought he was full of shit to begin with, because he said, "Call me the next time you're on the water, and I'll teach you how to drive it over the phone." And I went, "Okay,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
sure."
That's pretty
Yeah. Yeah.
awesome too, because he was a high up for Blazer for a long time, right? Like he was the man.
He put Blazer bass boats on this, on the planet.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
didn't
for
invent
sure.
them, obviously, or he wasn't the original owner. He wasn't even an owner. He let people know that this boat right here is bad. And right about the time, he left, they were, known to be a badass boat because Chris put them on out there.
Mm,
Yeah.
And he did a great job marketing them, and he was always putting pictures on the forum of 80 plus miles an hour, and Chris can drive a boat. He can he could make that little Jeep right there do 80 probably if he wanted to. But me, when I got my first Blazer, I could hit 62.
Right.
And so next time I was on the water, I think it was the next day, I called him up. I said, Chris, what's going on with this boat, man? And he laughed, and the first thing he said to me was, you used to have a Skeeter, didn't you?
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, yeah, 5 of them. He goes, okay, you know what you're doing wrong then? And I'm like, nope.
Nope.
And he said, when you're driving that boat, you're doing this. You're making it chine walk. And I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. And he goes,
Yeah.
all Skeeters, they just kind of have, like, you just instinct, you just do this. And he goes, and the second thing you're doing is you need to have your jack plate set on this, and you need to have your trim set on that. And I can't tell you those settings because I have the fastest boat. And
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah. Prop to pad and all that. Yeah. It's a science for sure.
yeah, no. And I said, okay. And he goes, keep me on the phone, take off, let me know how you go. And the very first run with him on the phone, I hit like 76 miles an hour.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I said, yep, this is for real. And I
Jeez.
just, I just kept messing with it from there. The Mercury, I think the best I could get out of it was a 78, 79. And I have a Yamaha on this one, and I hit 89 point something at Logan Martin, where we just came from,
What?
with the current, but it was rolling.
How fast?
Yeah. What?
It was like 89.3 or 0.2. So I mean, it was right there.
Golly.
The crazy part was, though, is it was like, it wasn't even redlined. It was just like 5,900 RPMs or something. It was just,
Wow.
but it was with the current, granted. But I mean,
Still, holy hell.
consistently, like I could go out tomorrow and put money that I could get it to like 82, 83 miles an hour.
Wowzers.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it's fast, and 70 in that boat is one-handed. It was like me driving a Skeeter. Once you know how to drive it, and really, it's not like anything special. It's just don't do this with your hands, and
Yeah.
when you take off, you just start at the bottom and you go up with both, and you stop your jack plate at, I think it's like 3 inches, and your tilt is halfway to 3/4, depending on how high you want it out of the water. And once you figure all that out and know how your boat wants to go, you can make them fly. And it rides amazing in rough water. And I have never had to tighten anything on it. And I'm not exaggerating. Like when I owned, a Skeeter or another boat, like the rub rails would fall off just, all the time from Champlain.
bouncing around,
it would, and it's just it happens with a lot of boats, like bolts, screws, they just break, the heads break. There's a lot of flex with any boat, and I have never had to tighten anything on any Blazer that I've owned, and that's saying something. Like
Yeah.
I absolutely love this boat, and I don't ever want to sell them. And
Right.
I'm a type of guy that likes new things. Like I get bored with a truck, so I sell it and get a different one and make it look nice. And I'm just like that. I like getting new things and working on them and decking them out. And I'm the same with a boat. And for me to not want to get rid of it, it
Says something.
like I really feel attached to them. It's weird.
No, that's not weird at all. And the thing about Blazers too is I feel like people are, like you said, what the heck's a Blazer? Like I feel like Blazer's been around for a long time, but I feel like they're really well thought out now. Like one of the things I really like on them is, this is going to sound maybe sort of dorky, but the new seat design on them, they look comfy and they look really cool. Like how it has like the model number in kind of the headrest area. And they've just it seems like they've sort of just stepped up every bit of the production on Blazer. And I knew, like, people say Blazers and any tournament are running high 70s, whatever. When you said 89, I was like, wait, hold on a second. What now?
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
that boat will do high 80s every day. I mean, I don't run lithiums in it because I like the weight in the back of this
Agreed.
boat.
Yep, same.
So I have two 31, AGM batteries tied together. So it has extra weight in it. plus my dad yesterday and a full live well and 2 full tanks, and I was doing like 82.
Holy crap.
And my dad
Gosh,
is
yeah.
200, I don't know, 10 pounds maybe. I mean, it's all there.
Wow. What so let's
Yeah.
get nerdy on it. What kind of prop are you running? Or unless you don't want to reveal that either, then that's okay.
No, I'm running a Mercury 4-blade Bravo on it. I think I have a 28 right
I was
now.
gonna say it's gotta be pretty high pitch, yeah.
Yeah.
28. Yeah.
I've tried a lot of
And
props. Even with the SHO, what is I think it's the 27 3-blade, I think is what they come with. I might be wrong
Mm,
on that.
mm,
But even with that prop, being a 3-bladed, I'll still do 78, um, which is pretty good. I just can't get the RPMs out of that prop. And
right.
I need those
right.
extra RPMs.
Yeah. Better hole shots,
Yeah.
slower top end out of that 3-blader.
No,
No?
it's not even, it doesn't feel like it should be on that bow. It kind
Okay.
of
Yeah.
slips out a little
Yeah, yeah.
bit.
Okay.
That's just the prop that motor came with.
Right on.
But if, the 4-blade Bravo, the 4-blade, I think it's a 26 Fury maybe. All those just make it handle amazing.
Yeah.
Like I
That's exactly
with,
how. Yeah, that's exactly how I felt with my old boat with the 4-blade that I had on
yeah,
it. Like when you're running a 4-blade prop, it makes them feel like race cars. Like
yeah,
every little turn, you can feel, you can
Yep.
pivot. Like
yeah.
it just handles so
It
good.
does. Yeah. Yeah. I run a 4 on mine as well. I have mine's a Evan Rude, the 250
Yep.
HO, but it's I have a RX4 25 pitcher on it, and it just feels a lot more in control. Like you can when you
Yeah.
turn, like you said, it feels like you can, I don't know, you lean into it. Like that one photo of
Mhm.
Randy Howell and his Triton that's been like super used, where he's
Yeah.
like way up on his side like a fighter jet. Like
Yeah.
it feels like that.
hmm
Like you're just cutting in. It's
See,
it feels
this boat won't turn like that. It will
it's more of a
just stay
pivoty.
flat,
Yep.
and it will literally just bite the whole way and just take
Yeah,
off.
that's sick.
I mean, I made my dad the other day just messing around with him because he doesn't ever get to ride with me. He's up from Vermont. But he's like, you just made my stomach turn. Like he was freaking out, like he had never been in something like that. He
Yeah.
had a blast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is really fun.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Nate.
it's
What other
awesome.
questions you got? I'm sorry. I wanted to know too. Plus, it just looks so pretty back there.
It looks
Yeah,
fast. It just looks fast.
Yeah,
It does.
they do. They look. They just fast sitting still like a red Corvette or something. They do.
Yeah.
But no,
I tell everybody
I
it's the
kind of
Ferrari of bass boats.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. I kind of became like slightly obsessed with them. About a couple of years ago, I bought a Phoenix 919, but right before I bought that
You
boat, I had
bought a
worked
Blazer.
with a guy, and I almost bought a Blazer, the 595. So like I was doing tons of research on Blazer and watching videos and doing all stuff, and I was like stoked on buying this Blazer from this guy, and he actually ended up selling it like 2 days before I was getting ready to leave. And go down and get it. It was kind of a heartbreaker, and then I ended up in the Phoenix, and I love that boat, but still to this day, something about like every Blazer I see, like I just like they just catch your they catch your eye. You just
It's
gotta
that,
stare at them.
It's that meme where the guy's looking back at the girl while he's with his girlfriend or whatever.
Exactly, yeah,
Miss you. Yeah.
exactly like this. Yeah, but what model are you running? Is that the 5 or the 625 or the 650?
No, I run the 625. It's just the 650 is fast, but this is what you want.
That's it.
Yeah.
Burge is in one. Like he likes fast boats. He's a motorhead like me. Like
Yeah.
he'll agree. This is the boat you want if you want to go fast and you want a good ride. Everyone says that Phoenix is the best riding bass boat. If you want to say they're the best riding bass boat, then this is comparable to that, in my opinion.
Right.
This boat on Champlain, I was a little worried. My first one, I didn't know anything about Blazer, which is funny how I became sponsored by them later on. But I didn't know anything about Blazer after buying my first one. And we went to Champlain, and there were 5-6 footers out there, and I was very, very impressed because that boat's light. It's really light.
That's awesome. Yeah. Who else is running them now? Rojas has been running them for a few years. Fighter, isn't he in a Blazer now?
Yeah, Fighters
A
in
Fighter's in
one.
one. Who else? There's a few dudes
Is
who,
it
like, when I saw him, I was like, oh, okay.
isn't that Jeremy
Braxton's in
Lawyer? Is
one.
he in one or
No,
Lambert? I'm thinking of Lambert.
Lambert's in one.
Yep.
Burge is
Yeah,
in
Lambert. That's
one.
what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I'm missing a few guys, but yeah, there's a quite a few guys.
Yeah. They're sort of
Yeah.
they're
Cody
honestly
Meyer.
like it. Yep. Yep.
Myers in one. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's funny.
Oh,
They're sort of like Great Lakes Finesse, how like they were sort of the secret and then kind of on the come up and then just scooping. I feel like that's where Blazer's at. Like it's
yeah.
sort of quietly, and
Yeah.
I feel like some dudes don't want other dudes to know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's kind of on the come up. And every time I love watching, it's so dorky. Like every time I see a boat tour video, I'm like, oh, shut up. That's so dorky. And then I get sucked in and I want to watch it because it's just engaging.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like Fighter did that one on his, and it's like, dang it, that's a dope boat, dude. Like that is a
Yeah.
sick little rig. Like it's a good compromise of like big, strong, fast. Just yeah, it's a cool boat. So
Yeah.
hey, so let me do this. Two quick things, Cole. Because I don't want to keep you super long. I know you got some young kiddos and whatever,
Oh,
but I
yeah.
feel like we just started talking.
We're
even
having
though
fun.
we're
Let's
like,
do it.
Right.
yeah, even though we're
Yeah.
50 minutes in. So before we want to do like a little like sort of like rapid fire thing, but you don't have to do
Yep.
just one word. We're just going to say some stuff and then you fire off. So the way we do it is called one of your favorites. So one of
Yep.
your favorite fill in the blank. Some will be fishing stuff, some won't, whatever. But before we do that, tell the people how they can find you, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, social, whatever.
Instagram is the Champlain Kid. Same as TikTok. My Facebook, unfortunately, that got hacked not too long ago, and I lost like what 20 something years worth of pictures,
Oh,
and
dude.
which is the worst
Golly.
part. But
Yeah.
I lost all the contacts and the followers and all that stuff. So that's kind of starting back up. But that's just my name, Cole Harris.
Okay.
But I'm pretty much Champlain Kid everywhere.
Yeah.
I've been told that's been hard to find, but it's pretty easy. It's right there. So
Right.
Right
Yeah.
there.
Okay. So, let's just do it then. Let's just do it then. So, like, speaking
All right.
of social,
All right. Here we go.
let's just go. Like, who cares? Whatever.
just
So,
Yeah.
speaking, find the pot, stir it up, whatever, let it rip. I mean, you said it and you didn't take it down, so you stand behind it. You know what's really funny too? It's total side note, but my favorite thing right now is when people say something controversial on social media and then they delete it as if people didn't already
Yes.
screenshot the daylights out of that crap anyway. Like you can't really delete anything anymore without people already knowing. But like anyway, so I was watching a video of yours where you spoke about a sponsorship change that you made, and you're wearing a pretty dope hoodie there.
Yeah.
And who else is that? Is it Jay Shakira? Isn't he on Whitewater as well? Isn't that like a big wrap on the side of his boat, Whitewater stuff?
Yeah.
But anyway, you basically just you kind of spilled the beans. Like you weren't really disparaging Hook or whatever. But you were just like, I reached out, they didn't respond back, so I tried to reach out to somebody else and they dropped me. Like you weren't really talking bad, but you were very transparent, more than I think most people would be on a sponsorship deal. Talk about that for a second. Not necessarily that deal, but why be so open on social media about it?
I have a problem with not keeping this quiet.
Okay.
No, I just don't beat around the bush. I'm a very straightforward, straight up, this is just how I am type of guy. And I take someone's word for it. Especially if you've known them for a while, if they're your boss or employer or whatever, like we have a relationship. So like you trust someone, and when you break that and you do it to other people also and no one knows about it, I think it needs to be known. And I'm not going to do it in a way that is disrespectful or unprofessional, I guess you would say. I'm just going to do it in a way like I was talking to you guys. This is what happened. This is literally what happened. And however you want to take that, if you don't think it was good, if you don't think anything was wrong with it, then that's it. You just take it how it is. But this is why Hook isn't on the boat, and that's all I did. And that's all I have done for a couple other sponsors in the past as well. I find it important that people should know that stuff. I mean, when
I gotta agree with that.
when a
Mm-hmm.
sponsor or when a NASCAR driver gets in a fight in the pits or whatever, like it's on the news, everyone knows about it. When a sponsor drops them for that or they have a fine to pay, people know about it. It goes back to like the drama thing. I mean, I'm not trying to make drama, but like, hey,
Yeah.
this is a sport. I'm supposed to be a professional. So to tell my fans or followers or just fans of fishing in general,
Yeah.
this is what happened. And that is, I think, what everybody should do. I mean, that's what happened. People should know about it, and it's gonna make our sport known and get our name out there, and let people know that like it's not just some pretty little perfect world that everybody wears hook clothing.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah. So you said that that's happened with other people. Why don't more people, you think, take the route that you take on this stuff?
I think they're worried about them backfiring them on
Yep.
them
I think so
later
too.
on. It's a small world. The fishing world is small. Everybody kind of knows everybody. They also job float. They just go from one company to another, or one company buys another. So
Yeah.
like everybody just knows
Yeah.
everyone. And so like I mean, yeah, even I was worried like what may happen if I say the truth or say something that may offend somebody. Like everyone worries about that, and I just I think that's why it doesn't happen more is there's not a lot of money to go around to begin with, so they're not just going to take the chance of making it harder.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Well put. I agree. All right, Nate, let's get into it. Let's do a hard transition here. Let's go to the rapid fire stuff. Like I said, Cole, what we do is we call this one of your favorite. So the reason we call it that is if you said to somebody, what is your favorite whatever, sometimes it's hard to narrow it down. But one of your favorite, something you like you comes to mind, you spit it out. So we're gonna go every other. Nate, you fire it off first and then we'll go from there. So one of your favorite.
Flipping baits. What's your one of your favorite flipping baits?
Oh, shoot, the probably the arc tharp fishing or flipping jig. To be honest with you, I like the black and blue. I like it because each color is individually tied on. And nothing worse than a jig or a spinnerbait or anything where the strands start to come out. Like that
Oh
just
yeah,
drives me
Right.
nuts.
yeah.
But yeah, that arc jig is probably my favorite.
Okay.
And you
Yeah,
Is
said
he
that's
is Tharp?
the Randall Tharp.
yeah, I
Yeah, he's a
really
Yeah.
like
stud.
it.
Is he fishing the opens again? Isn't that what he's doing this year?
Man, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah.
dude's a wow. That dude's a stud. All right, one of your favorite bands or musicians?
Uh, I don't have a favorite, to be honest with you. I like music.
Yeah.
If you were to look at like my Pandora or whatever, it would probably blow your mind. It'd go from like Alan Jackson and then Slipknot, and then you have some dubstep in there. Like it's
Okay.
everywhere, and it's
Yeah.
just kind of what I'm feeling at the moment. But I don't have like this is my favorite.
Yeah.
I
That's all
I
right.
listen to the Good Old Boys. They're from California. They're kind of just a low key country rap deal.
Oh, okay.
I listen to them quite a bit. I like their stuff.
All right.
But other than that, I'm everywhere, man. Just AC/DC, shoot Jay-Z, anything. I listen to
All
it
right.
all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's an answer though, for sure.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, no doubt. So one of your favorite movies.
Tombstone is my absolute
Oof.
favorite movie.
Good one.
Um, just always wanted to be a cowboy, I guess.
Yeah, that's a killer.
Right.
One of your
Who
favorite.
didn't?
Yeah, especially with Tomb. What a great movie. One of
Yeah.
your
Yeah,
favorite
for
things
sure.
to do if you're not fishing.
Um, Spend time with it was my daughter, but now it's going to be two daughters. But
Yeah.
up until a couple weeks ago, it was spend time with my kid. I I have fun being a dad.
Yeah.
She's my best friend. We do everything together.
I
Yeah.
love that. Heck yeah, dude. Great answer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about right. My daughter and I, really both my kids, we're so tight. There's nothing
Yeah.
better than time spent with the kiddos for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So
I find I slow down. I put my
Yes.
phone down. I put everything away. I just it's whatever's going on in that moment rather than what's going on out there in the world.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfectly put.
Heck yeah. Yep. All right. So, one of your favorite crankbaits?
My favorite crankbaits. Um, Man, I'm not much of a cranker.
Okay, that's all right.
Whatever I need to buy at the time. I'm a big
Right.
flipper. I'm kind of just
Oh,
known
okay.
to. I flip. I like flipping grass. I like flipping a jig. I like,
Yeah. If
I'm a
you
big jig guy. I've won a lot of money on a jig.
Yeah,
So
if anybody watches Cole's videos on YouTube, dude has a almost, I don't think you do it on purpose, I would assume, but kind of like a signature hook set style where you kind of like spread your legs real wide, speaking of wanting to be a cowboy, and you just lean back and like, it's fun to watch his videos, the way he sets a
yeah,
hook, the no doubter hook set, and then he like stays
Yeah.
lean back. It's dope. Yeah, so I can see that for sure. Okay, so our
So,
next one.
so this one's a little off the rip. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if you had to choose between flipping Texas rig or a jig, especially in the grass, kind of where your
There
background,
you go.
so you're gonna go with a jig, huh?
yeah. Back home on Champlain, I won a lot of money with a 3/4 ounce, flipping jig. Um, all the way up to 15, 16 feet of water.
Hmm.
I don't know. I have a lot of confidence in it. I've always just done well with it. The problem for me is sometimes if it's not a flip and bite, you go big or you go home.
Yep.
You're gonna
Right.
catch them
Yeah.
or you're not.
Yep.
I remember I won a Vermont state team tournament. I don't know if it was to get on the team or if it was like a regional tournament or what it was, but I won it with like 3 fish the first day and 4 fish the second, just because of, that's just a flip and bite. That's just how it works, but they were the
That,
right
that
ones. And I think
quality.
that's why I
Yeah.
like it. Yeah. I find myself not getting a limit often if I fish how I want to, but there's going to be some hammers in my bag, and
I like that.
if I just got to smarten up and catch the other fish too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just let it be a tool, not like the only tool. So
yeah.
I would assume, being Champlain, do you throw? And if you do, what's one of your favorite jerk baits?
Um, it used to be Hank Cherries,
Yeah, the stunner.
honestly, the stunner.
Yeah.
Now that I'm with Arc, I started using their jerk bait,
Yeah.
and I really like it.
Okay.
It throws beautifully. I mean,
Really?
it just feels very evenly weighted, and it just launches it. And I used to have trouble with any jerk bait where the line or whatever would get hung up in the hooks, or it would want to
Yeah.
flip. And
Yeah.
I'm very impressed with the arc jerk bait.
Okay.
And the guys over there, they told me right from the beginning, like, if you're going to order anything, try your jerk bait. And yeah, I'm impressed with them. I really am. And their
Right on.
colors are
They're
killer.
Yeah, they're pretty new into the hard bait game, right? Like
Yep.
they've
Yeah,
done the
yeah.
rod for a long time and then got to reels and hard baits and
Yeah, I'm very impressed with their reels. I remember him telling me when I ordered all my stuff, because I was with another company for like 7, 8 years, and they said, whatever you do, don't throw these hard. And I'm like, okay, sure. And I threw
right.
it normal, like I always have for the last however many years, and I de-spooled a G5, and
Oh
I just
wow.
looked down like,
Like, flip.
whoa, yeah. And so I was like, they weren't kidding. I mean, you literally just have to just do this, and it's
Yeah,
gone. And
that's sweet.
I love them. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
I have one arc rod that I bought. I don't know if you remember this story, Nate, but we were fishing a derby. Nate and I were a 2-day up in northern Wisconsin, and I had just bought a rod for that tournament for this specific type of fishing. I won't say what brand it was because it was not very impressive. The first day practice, the reel seat like fell apart, basically, like came unglued. I'm like, what the frick? And so then we had
Yeah.
some super
We had
glue
to super glue it back together. Yeah.
back
I
together at the
remember this.
ramp, real ugly too. Like it
Yeah.
didn't even look. It looked like we'd I don't know. It looked like we were blind and in the dark because I mean there's glue all over. But anyway, the next day we go out and we're throwing the buzz bait again, and on a cast, on a normal load up, thunk, it just snaps down by the base, like just no hook set in a tree, no nothing, just broke. So anyway, so I ended up buying. I returned it. Ended up buying an Arc Brain and Cobb rod, and it was the I think it's called the Old Faithful or something. It's like I think he calls it like a medium mag heavy. So it's just past medium heavy. Dude, that rod is so dope. I've caught so many fish on that thing. Yeah, it's a great rod, honestly. And it's like it's like $100, I think, for like that rod, brand new with
rod too. Yeah.
It's dope looking. It has like the camo kind of like different
grip,
colored foam grip and cork on the bottom. It's a dope, and the blank is like a dark green.
Yeah, they're nice.
Every time I use that rod, I kid you not, like my wife can attest to this. Every time I use that rod, I'm like, man, I got to get more of these. Like for the money, for the feel, it's a good rod. So it doesn't surprise me, honestly. The other stuff is good because they seem to make really good crap.
Yeah, I'm using the Invoker Tours, which is, it's like a $150, $160 rod, and I ordered all of that line. And when I ordered my stuff, I could have ordered anything I wanted. They're, any price point is what I'm trying to say. And I ordered that Invoker Tour just because I'm not a greedy guy. I just want some nice stuff.
Yeah.
And when I got it all and I set it all up, like I said, I de-spooled a G5, which is, a middle of the road, nice reel with an Invoker Tour rod. And I just, my first day of using their stuff, I was blown away by the quality. That's and awesome. Not being like the best of the best is, it's good stuff. I like it a lot.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. I feel like getting stuff in kind of that middle, price point, middle of the road price point, really allows you to kind of like reach to such a big audience on like, hey, this is what I'm using. Yeah, this is how I think, this is what I think of it. And, it's just in so many people's price point. It allows you to kind of, reach a lot of people. So that's smart road to travel.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they've done a good job with their bait line too. They have more, cool stuff coming out soon. But when I got in with Hook with Arc, and I started getting all this stuff and looking at all their stuff, and I'm like, man, where have I been? Like, I didn't even know that they had like like the jerk baits or their jigs were so nice, and like, where have I been this whole time? And I'm proud to help them, promote it and to let people know that their stuff is pretty sick, and it's gonna start being known. I really think it's gonna get out there more real soon.
That's great. All right, we're not doing very rapid fiery here, Nate. Get on it. Come on. The next two you could skip if you want, Nate. I don't know because I feel like we've already covered jigs. We already covered blazer boats. So jump in wherever. I don't care. Whatever.
Yeah. We'll roll next couple. What's your favorite fish to catch that isn't a bass?
Used to be a bowfin.
Yeah.
I still, when I go up north, I mess with them. But recently have taught myself how to fish for crappie on open water, mostly to help my kid, catch fish and keep her interested. But I really enjoy doing that. It's kind of, I find myself going out bass fishing and be like, oh, I want to go catch some crappie. Like it's kind of my new thing. I like it.
Yeah, it is really fun. Do you so you have Lowrance. What is it called? Active Target, right? That's your facing sonar. I always get them all mixed up. I'm a live scope guy, but I'm not anti any other ones. Do you active target them?
The crappie, yes, I do.
Yeah, because that can be really fun.
Yeah, I don't really know how to catch them otherwise, to be honest with you. Crappie fishing up north is through a hole in 30 below zero.
Right.
Crappie fishing here in North Carolina is, you're open water, obviously, and that's the only way I know how to do it. I haven't been taught any other way.
It works, dude, and it's fun, especially with a kid too, because you can I told the story last week, but me and two of my boys were out on our little local lake, which is literally half a mile from my house, and it gets stocked with trout. And I think some of the trout in there have just thrived because there's some really big trout in there, and we're out there chucking lipless for bass because the water's pretty cold and whatever. And we get into these schools of trout, and you can see them on live scope. So you kind of pan around back and forth. That's like the best way to use forward facing. And then you'd pan, and they go, "Wait, stop!" My boys like, "Stop!" And you move back a little bit, like, "There they are!" And we'd all cast out. Seeing them light up on there for kids, that's like a video game mixed with like an outdoor experience, which is a pretty cool combo for littles. But all right, what's one of your favorite fishermen? It could be a pro, it could be a local guy, it could be that fella you're talking about from Champlain. Who's one of your favorite fishermen?
My favorite fisherman. That'd be Gene Gordon. That's who taught me how to fish.
That's the guy from Champlain who took you under his wing.
Yeah, he's a good man. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
What favorite play fish besides Champlain?
James River, I think. Yeah, it's really funny. I go to these tidal water places like Potomac or the James, and I fished up north my whole life, and I don't know anything about tides, but I always seem to do fairly well when I go there. And I kind of fell in love with the James last time I was there. I did well too, so that helps like it more. But
for sure,
I like the James.
Pretty big
and your video you made from that was dope.
Yeah, there's big fish there. Yeah.
Yeah, you swung or no, you didn't swing. You did a one-man netted job on it looked like a 5. I'm not sure how big that fish was. It was a good fish though. And I swear on my life, dude, like when I've fished derbies solo, I've always just been the dude who I'm going to reach down and lip it, or I'm going to boat flip it or whatever. And then last year I was fishing solo and I caught a 5 that ended up being a big bass of the derby. And I decided when I saw it hit, because it was pretty clear water, I'm like, oh, I got to net this thing. It is the freaking awkwardest motion feeling, like when you're trying to like reach out the net and like hold the rod back so you still have tension in the line, and then like, oh wait, I didn't reel in enough, and you put it back down. But you made it look pretty smooth, dude. You just kind of did a thing where you kind of dipped it in the water and left it there, and then kind of steered him into it. And I'm out there like, yeah, like just looking like a dummy. Like it's did you learn how to do that? Because it's not a super easy thing.
No, honestly, I don't use a net often. Like I really don't. So when I use a net, I feel awkward. And plus I was on, I was live when that was going on, so that made it even worse. So I just remember that whole time thinking like, man, I hope I don't look like an idiot.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What's one of your favorite fast food places? You got to go to fast food driving all over the place.
I like Wendy's. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was an unexpected answer.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because I love their barbecue sauce, but I love Wendy's.
Okay. Yeah, right. Dude, I remember a few years ago, this is neither here nor there, but a few years ago when the, what is it called? The 4 for $4? Isn't that their thing where you get like whatever?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So they had the 4 for $4, and I can't remember who it was. I think it was Hardee's that came out with a 5 for $4, and then on Twitter, the Hardee's said the new Hardee's 5 for $4. How do you respond, Wendy's? And Wendy's in the drop. I'm talking about like instantly, just like when Hank Cherry was using that mega bass, and he's like said I was using an undisclosed jerkbait, and then mega bass put that thing out like our new undisclosed color. Just instantly like that. Wendy's, they said, Hardee's said 5 for $4. How do you respond, Wendy's? And Wendy's responded with edible food, like right away. I was like, oh,
wow.
Shots fired so quick. The 4 for $4 is dope. Yeah, Wendy's is slept on, dude. Wendy's is underappreciated. It is really good though. Yeah.
It is. There's one Wendy's in all of Vermont, and then you shoot people drive there like an hour away just getting some
hilarious.
Wendy's.
Yeah.
That is. What's the go-to order at Wendy's?
Oh shoot, I'd probably get 8 chicken nuggets and some junior bacon cheeseburgers.
Yeah, the junior bacon cheeseburgers.
And then I'm always torn between a root beer and what is their shake called? It's
which one? The Jamocha? Is that theirs?
No, it's not a shake, but it's like an ice cream in a cup. I forget what they call it. A Frosty. I'm always torn between the two, so I end up with both of them. And
my man, smart dude.
Probably just start mixing them together.
Yeah, you might.
Yeah.
Frosty. That might
that's
be
actually
where
probably
it's
pretty dope. Yeah, that's a good idea, dude.
Yeah.
Write that down.
Yeah, I'll remember that one. favorite finesse presentations?
Um, Probably shaky head. I like a shaky
Mm,
head, but I like it on a bait caster. I
yeah.
feel like I don't feel like I'm working it right on a spinning reel or spinning rod.
Dude, shaky head's been sort of forgotten, right? What a great presentation for a million different purposes. Magnum shaky head, little 16th out stuff, screw head. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a bunch of different ways you can do it. What's one of your, let's end on this one, Nate, and then we'll just jump into something else
Okay.
real quick and then we'll get you out of here. What is one of your favorite, doesn't have to be but one of your favorite moments on the water?
Before I moved to North Carolina, I worked with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. A friend
Mm,
of mine in Vermont was helping organize a deal for a sick young man. His name was Chris Weber, and he reached out to me. He's actually a good friend of mine. He reached out to me, knowing that I had sponsors and wanted to know if I wanted to help and maybe get some stuff together and make this a really big deal. And I wanted to get in on it. It sounded really good. And so, I got some stuff from all my sponsors and we loaded the boat up. And if I remember correctly, because it's been a few years, he was going to go out fishing, and I think that his wish was, he was a good kid. His wish was not for like a something crazy expensive. It was to go out fishing with like a pro or it was something along those lines. And so it was kind of like a
Mm.
trick. And we went out to go fishing, and the game wardens and the state police had their boats there. And at the end of the trip, they were coming back in. They had the lights flashing, and I remember the police were talking on the big radio in their boat, saying, I think his name was Noah. Your wish has been granted, and
mm.
it was on the news, and ESPN was there, and it was a big deal for me. Like I actually cried. It was very
That's so awesome.
it it was the best moment in anything that I've ever done with fishing. Period. Maybe the best thing I've ever done in life. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Wow.
Um, he's
Yeah,
he's
that's
doing
incredible.
great today.
Oh, good.
I'm still has a boat as far as I know and fishes and everything. But like that moment of everybody coming together and making that this little guy's wishes come true. It was life changing for me for sure.
Wow.
Yeah. I
Golly. What?
still I still stay in contact with the Make-A-Wish, and we try to do stuff all the time, and the more I can do like that, the happier I'll be, I guess. It was a really
Yeah.
good moment.
Man, that's great, dude. I don't know if you've heard of
Yeah.
Cole. Jay Yellis has an organization called Cast for Kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they take out kids with physical or cognitive disabilities, and yeah, man, there's something about it, right? Like getting outside of yourself and taking the focus off of, because not even as a negative thing. I'm not trying to poke holes or
No,
anything, but
no,
like
no.
fishing is a solo sport. You know what I mean? I guess you can do team sport, whatever team tournaments, but I mean, really at the professional level, it's a solo guy, and it's you and your boat fishing the way you want with your rods and reels, and like you get the trophy and you get the money, and none of that's bad. But when you step outside of yourself and something that, man, that's beautiful. That was a great answer, man. Thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Every day I feel like I talk about it a lot. It's probably been 4 years or 5 years.
Hmm.
It was a big deal. It was a big deal back home. Everybody was there. It was a really cool event, cool thing that everybody put together.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible how things that seem kind of minuscule to us or fishermen or whatever, like how much they mean to people who
Hmm.
don't get to experience it all the time. Like it really means a lot. I remember, shoot, I think it was nothing to that level at all, but it was just a couple years ago. I think I was taking my boat out like kind of towards the end of the season just to go out and run some gas, just burn up some gas that was in it. And there were people at the dock that were just, oh, that's such a cool boat. What are those things on the back of it? How does it work? Talking this and that, all the typical, cool bass boat stuff. And like, you should take us for a ride. And I'm like, you know what? I got a life jacket. Come on. So I took like 4 people that were kind of just hanging out on the dock for a ride that I had no clue who they were or anything, but like taking them for a ride, spinning around the river, seeing their eyes light up, their
Hmm.
smiles on their faces. Like little stuff like that, like, that didn't do anything for me. I didn't no effort at all, but like that kind of stuff makes people's day. And to your level, that that's a memory that that kid's gonna keep for life.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
He's
I
never
worked
gonna forget
last
that.
year. I worked last year with a local construction company who I originally hit up for a sponsorship because I love to help local and work local rather than, I want to feel appreciated as much as, I appreciate them sponsoring me because I can't do this
Hmm.
without sponsors. And I originally hit them up, and they wrote me back saying, thanks for thinking of us, but you know, employee retention basically was a really big problem for them. So
Hmm.
advertising or whatever just didn't make sense at this time. They couldn't do the work they had, and instead of just saying, okay, I understand, thank you, or keep me in mind for the future, I just had this great idea of, well, let's take the employees you have fishing.
Yeah.
Like, let's keep the ones you have happy and, show them that you
Yeah.
appreciate them. Let's do some employee appreciation program and, do a couple trips a month or whatever on work hours. We'll pay them to go fishing and drink some beers or whatever and, go fishing with a pro. Like, let's just give it a try. And I took the first group out, and after that, it just took off. I
That's
mean,
so cool.
people were
Heck
like
yeah.
begging to go fishing. I took people that had never been fishing, period, let alone be on
Yeah.
a boat or whatever, and that was fun too. If I could put that in the on the last question as well. Like I had a lot of fun just taking people out and letting them know that their employer appreciates them. As silly as that sounds, but
Yeah, that's really
I
cool.
made their day or I made their week as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah, that's really great, man. Well, I think we would be a little off if we didn't. I think my wife would be ticked if I didn't ask Lola, who is in Florida right now with our five youngins. And apparently, this is kind of random, kind of not. Apparently, bluegills in Florida are like a different species. My daughter Kennedy sent me a picture. And she's like, "Hey, I caught a big or she said I caught a big black crappie." I'm like, "Oh, let me see." And she sent me a picture, and it was a bluegill that was as black as the back of your eyelids from like the nose to the tail. I'm like, actually, that's a bluegill, but it does kind of look like a dark crappie. But anyway,
Yeah.
and Lola usually asks about family. So you're a family man. I've seen you share stuff even on your socials about it. Tell us about you don't have to go any further into it than you're
Yeah.
you're comfortable with, but tell us about your wife. Tell us about your kiddos a little bit.
I actually went to high school with my wife,
Oh, that's cool.
but she doesn't remember me from high school. She said that she was too popular for me, she said.
Oof. Oof.
But we reconnected, or I reconnected with her. She doesn't remember me, like I said, years later, and we've been together ever since, honestly. Pretty much everything together. Travel, uh, shoot, anything, She's my partner. She's my teammate. Uh, my little girl, we already talked about, she's my best friend,
Yep.
teaching her how to fish, and she is obsessed with it.
Okay. Yeah.
Heck
She
yeah.
uh, she tries to be just like me, and it's the cutest thing ever. I mean,
Does she have that same? Does she have the same flipping hook set? The step back.
yeah, I think she
She
might.
might. She
I
honestly
think
might
so.
though. Like I'm kind
I
of
think
joking, but
so.
she might. You do what you
Uh,
see. So if she
Yeah,
sees you doing it, like
yeah. No, I bought her that honestly because I didn't want her to mess with my fishing rods out on the water. And
yeah,
so I bought her this little pink fishing pole, and I didn't think she would learn how to cast, overnight, basically. 2 years old, and boy, am I in for it now. It's
yeah,
just all over.
yeah. That's a
Um,
good. And how old did you say
that's
the new one
yeah.
is?
That's awesome.
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah. She's
that's
brand
great.
new. Yep.
Yeah, very brand new. That's beautiful. And you said
Yeah.
you said
Heck yeah.
beforehand,
Awesome.
that your or not beforehand, but just earlier in this podcast that you did you say you met your wife while you were doing motocross stuff?
No, I went to high school with her,
Okay, but
and I moved to Florida and came back, and I just ran into her one day. I think
oh,
we were at
okay.
the gym, and we just kind of started talking and hanging out, and been together ever since, basically.
Yeah.
Um, No, we were my first like initial thought of like really getting into fishing was with her.
Okay, that's what it was, maybe.
Yeah, we
Okay.
were we
Yeah.
were out, on the kayak or the canoe, whatever it was, and the first moment I thought of like I want to do this all the way was, we were watching a weigh-in over
Mm.
in Plattsburgh, a big FLW weigh-in, and both of us were like, yeah, this is gonna happen, and she's been beside me the whole way.
And she agreed. She supported you in that. She was.
Oh yeah, still does, definitely.
Yeah, that's it, dude. So like our
Heck yeah.
our our podcast network we're a part of is called the Working Class Bow Hunter Podcast. They're a pretty big, pretty huge bow hunting podcast, and they actually have a saying that they kind of joke about, but they're not really joking. Like I think they have stickers and shirts and whatever that says you can't kill big bucks if your wife sucks. And
Yeah,
like it's actually true though, right? And I think you could
no,
say
it
the
is.
exact same thing. We've had a couple homies message us and say like, "Hey, you should make shirts that say you can't catch big bass if your wife sucks." And I'm like, "Well, that doesn't rhyme." But anyway, but it's true though. Like there's so many things that don't work out in life if you're with somebody who isn't, so they don't even have to fish. They don't have to hunt. But if they're not team Cole, if they're not team Champlain kids, supportive, fueling you, pushing you, it's not going to happen.
She pushes me
Yeah.
hard too. Like I'll come home. These local North Carolina boys, they don't mess around. Like
Yeah.
they kick ass. And
Yeah.
I'm still trying to learn these lakes, but I'll come home and I'll either do really well or really bad. And she'll just say, "Did you win?" And I'll say, "Nope, but." And she's just like, "Nope, what's wrong with you?" Like, there's no like, "Oh, I took
That's
second,"
dope.
or this happened. It's like, no, like
Yeah.
you're
You pushed
supposed to
past
win. What are you doing? What the hell's wrong with you? Yeah,
it. That's awesome.
yeah. Um, Shoot, I lived with my dad, I guess, getting back to family, lived with my dad since I was a little kid. My parents were divorced, and
Mm,
I would, do the divorce thing with parents, but I was always in the outdoors with him. Still to this day, we, deer hunt and fish together and do
that's great.
everything. Um, you know, uh, I don't know, got my uncles and my cousins. We all hang out and fish and hunt, and we had a close family. My in-laws, everybody gets along and hangs out, and we're all outdoors people. My father-in-law was an elk guide in Montana for a long time.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Hey.
Badass cowboy.
Mm,
Someone definitely who I look up to. I got a great family. I'm very lucky to have the family that I have and the things that I have, and do what I do. I'm very very lucky, very fortunate.
yeah, clearly. So let me ask you this
Heck,
then. This is a good sort of like kind of wrap up thing. Nate, if you have any other questions, jump in, please, sir. But what's next for you, Cole? What's the goal for this whole thing?
No matter what I do, where I fish, who I fish for, whatever happens, I just want to fish for a living. Doesn't
Mm,
matter what it is, where I am. Um, when I made the switch or started the NPFL adventure, it was Zach Burge that kind of was like, "Hey man, you want to fish for a living, but why does it matter where you get your 100 grand from?"
what a funny question. Yeah.
And
that's
and
that's
I
a
was kind
lot.
of like,
That's yeah.
"Oh," and
Right.
it's
Yeah.
true. I don't care what I'm doing or where I am, as long as I'm fishing for a living. That's what I love to do. Um, that's just what I want to do. I want to fish.
All right.
And I want to compete. I don't like if I go out to just fish, I honestly get kind of bored. It's the competition part. It's trying to be the best. Everyone thinks that bass fishing you're competing against 150 guys or 80 guys or whatever, but really you're competing against yourself in your head.
Totally.
It's
Yeah.
how good are you going to fish today? How fast are you going to learn the water? How fast are you going to find them? You're always competing against yourself, and you're your worst enemy and your worst, critic. And I think that's the part that I really am obsessed with. Is like, you know, I am not at the level that I want to be at, and I don't think anyone ever is at this sport. You're never good enough, and so many times you're going to drive home and be like, "What the hell happened today?"
Yeah.
and that's the part
Yeah.
that gets you up tomorrow, and you want to do it again. You want to be better, and that's all I want to do. I just want to fish. I'm obsessed with it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. So you kind of talked about it a little bit. What's next for you and wanting to fish. What's the next derby you got coming up? What's the next tie-in
Yeah.
tournament that people can watch and keep up with for you?
Yes, I go to Hartwell for the NPFL. Was it the beginning of May? Um, I've done well there in the past, so we'll see how that goes. But after that, I'm headed up north. We usually spend the summers up north, and I'm just gonna go have fun and fish this year. It doesn't matter what tournament it is, whether it's a Toyota or a Invitational or NPFL. The whole goal is to just go have fun because I think I lost that in the past.
Mm.
It was when I made it to that pro level, there's so much pressure of doing good and fishing against guys you've watched your whole life, and the
Right.
biggest part of it is like affording it. Like you have to cash a check or you have to get a sponsor. And this year I don't care about any of it.
Mm.
I'm gonna go fish and have fun, and hopefully make some cool content along the way and make some memories with my family. And hopefully I kick ass.
Heck yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Kind of a
So you
big
have,
change for me this year.
yeah. So you have Champlain coming up in what, June, right? Isn't that when the
Yeah.
major league fishing one is?
Yeah.
Um, what you don't have to give away any juice or tips or anything, but what do you like about what do you foresee happening on Champlain in June?
Should be a bed fishing slugfest. Um, I think it'll be a tough tournament. Bed fishing, you can catch them anywhere, everywhere, obviously on beds, smallmouth, but with only a couple days of practice, that's not really a tournament. You can go pre-practice and look for beds.
Sure.
Being a local and knowing a lot about the lake and history and stuff, I think that I would hope that I would have an advantage. I know
Yeah.
the areas that they should be in. It's just going to be like finding the fish
Hmm.
rather than actually looking for beds in practice and in the tournament. So I'll be able to cover more water rather than someone who's not from there. So I hope I do well.
Yeah.
Hope should do well. I better.
Yeah. Do you feel like a lot more pressure being, I mean, not even just like
Oh yeah,
it's one thing to
yeah,
be like your home lake, but it's another thing
yeah,
when your name is the Champlain Kid. I mean, you
yeah.
gotta you gotta crack them, yeah? Or I mean, what do you think about that?
The hometown curse is
Yeah.
real.
It
Like
really
it is.
is.
Oh,
It just
for
You
happened
can
sure.
recently.
Yeah.
ask any of my buddies from back home. Like we have this joke of like I crush it on Champlain. I go to it was like a FLW or a MLF or a Bass Open or whatever on Champlain, and right out of the gate, I'll either fall on my face or I'll smash them, and then the next day it's the complete opposite, and I'll
Mm.
miss like the cut line by like an ounce or 2 ounces.
Ugh.
Like the
Yeah.
the the hometown curse is a
Brutal.
real thing, and
Yeah.
it'll
Totally
be
true.
something stupid. There's a lot of pressure, and I think that's what does it is like I know that I'm really good there. I know that I should do well there, and I know everyone thinks that, and so it just kind of messes with you. It's a lot. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. But
Yeah.
then I'll go out and do like a smaller derby and just win by like 4 pounds. It's silly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to catch him. I got to
Yeah.
catch him.
That's it. Yeah. Well, good luck though, man. I
That
hope you kill
is.
it.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank
so
you.
while we have you,
Yeah.
let me ask you this because it seems like you've definitely come up through the ranks. You're a grinder. You fished a lot of derbies. What in your head is one thing that separates a good angler from a really truly great stick hammer of an angler? What's one thing that separates them?
Support
Who asked
system
this
is a
question too?
big deal, honestly.
Heck
Support
yeah.
system. Okay.
I think that you can I think that you can be very knowledgeable in the fishing world. You could be a largemouth, smallmouth bass, genius or a fishing nerd. But if you don't have a support system or a backing or just people in general, like, rooting for you, you're gonna suck.
Mm.
I think the best fishermen in the world aren't competing against, us. I think that there's guys out there that just simply don't have the courage or, the backing or the support, whether it be a, family or friends or whatever. I think that there's a lot of people out there like that could, kick some ass out there, and they just don't have anything behind them
Yeah.
to be the best. I really think that's a big deal. I
Yeah.
think that you could really suck if you got problems at home or money problems or anything that doesn't allow your head to be 100% in it.
Okay. I
You
like
got to
it.
be able to
Yeah,
you got to be able to
there it
block
is.
everything out and just only worry about fishing, and that's it.
Yep. Dang. Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
Yeah,
What were you gonna say, Nate?
yeah. So I was just gonna say we've asked a lot of like we've had on kind of that similar question, and I think a lot of what you said kind of ties into most of those answers, which have
Yeah.
been time on the dirt and the mental part of it, which I feel like just like you said, having that support system or the backing or the encouragement to be on the water,
Yeah,
the encouragement to get out there and practice and get after it. Uh, and having that encouragement puts you in that good state where you're confident, you're feeling good about what you're
yeah.
doing. So I think everything you said kind of ties into what's been a popular answer for most people
It
that
kind
we've
of
had on. So
answers. It's like the bigger answer of everything. It's you can have the
yeah.
money, you can have the time, you can have the sponsors, you can have everything there is to have, but if you don't have the support system, you're not going to have time on the water, and you're not going to have the money,
Mm,
and you're not, it's
that's a
it's
good
it all
point.
just
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
funnels down to like that is it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
even if you're just all by yourself out there in the world, like I would like to think that you would need some people rooting you on.
Yep. For sure.
Yeah. You can't
Yeah.
second guess yourself, and you can't think about if you're doing the right thing. You gotta have, even if it's a lie, you gotta have somebody there saying
Man.
like, you can do it.
Yeah. It's so hard though too.
Yeah,
I
for
feel like
sure.
bass fishing more
Yeah.
than anything I've ever done competitively, bass fishing makes me look back and be like, man, if I would have this, or if I would have changed my hook or retied my line, if I would have made this move to this area, like you said, second guess. It's so easy in bass fishing to
Hmm.
second guess yourself. And I think you're spot on. Having a good support system, it gives you, to encourage means to give courage. And I think when you
Yeah.
have that
Hmm.
support system, it kind of, puffs you
Yeah.
up a little bit in a good way. And yeah, you're spot on, man.
Like I used to, I mean, this is God's honest truth. Like I used to, I was good up north. I'd show up to a tournament and I knew right out the gate, like, let's say there's 100 people in the field, like I'm fishing against 20 of them.
Sure. Yeah, I
Like
follow you.
Yeah.
that's just how, that's just my mindset. That's how I had the confidence and made myself, my
Yeah.
drive when I, got to that pro level and I dumped my boat in the water that first day. I remember being like, maybe I shouldn't be here.
Wow. Yeah,
And
totally. That's
it
honest.
just it changed from being like one of the better guys in the tournament to I got 150 guys that are in my head probably better than me.
Mm,
And
Right.
it kind of changes your whole mindset. And I remember when I went on tour, when I got there, I forget who told me, but they're like, give it 3 years. I think it may have been Nick LeBrun. He was like, you got to give it 3 years, not one, not two, but give it 3 years because you're going to figure your way out. And I see that. I see why. You're going to go through the growing pains and some people shoot out right out the gate, but I think a lot of guys, including myself, kind of show up and they're like, oh boy, maybe
yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
maybe I made a mistake here, or you get your butt kicked once or twice and you're like, oh dang, like.
Yeah.
And I've been working really hard on changing that mindset and I'm ready to kick ass again.
Let's do it, man. Yeah, good luck to you,
Yeah,
dude.
Heck yeah.
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 Yeah,
Well,
no,
hey
I
Cole.
know we'll definitely be rooting for you.
Yeah, I
Thank
was
you.
literally just gonna say the same thing, man.
Thank
I
you.
think I
Yeah.
think you have a couple new fans for sure. We knew who
Thanks.
you were, but didn't know you. You know what I'm saying? And I can't say anything but positive stuff about you, man. You're an honest fella. I love the fact that you say what you think, and you're saying it like, you know, about the hook thing or whatever other stuff. You're not being, you know, you're not being a dick about it. You're just being pretty objective, which I think, like you said, a lot of people are afraid to do. I like your vibe. I like your boat. And
Thank you.
you know, yeah, man.
Thank
Good
you.
luck this year. Go
I'm
win
just
a
a
couple, man.
regular guy, man. Like
Yeah,
that's what I think, that I hope that this sport, that's the direction I want this sport to go to, is
yeah,
like we're just regular dudes trying to fish, man.
yep,
And there's drama, and there's people that get mad, and there's people that get screwed over, and some sponsors suck and some sponsors are amazing, and everybody needs to know that stuff, and
absolutely.
I hope more people start doing that.
Yeah,
I think that
absolutely.
it'll better
Yeah,
the sport, all around.
100. Yeah, for
without a
sure.
doubt.
Well, yeah. Well, thanks for jumping on, man. You
Yeah,
can go
man.
ahead and hang up. We appreciate you so
Yeah.
much. And everybody who's listening to this, make sure you look them up, YouTube, socials, whatever. Show some support. And again, man, good luck this year.
Yeah, yeah. You can't miss me. It's the Champlain Kid. It's right there.
Champlain Kid. Yeah, yeah. It's super hard to find.
Right there.
See
All
you
right,
guys.
man. Thanks, brother.
Hey, peace.
Heck yeah, dude. That was dope.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Like I said, I was feeling good about that one, and it went probably better than expected. Like
You were correct.
that was sweet. Yeah,
Yeah. What like, I mean,
yeah,
I feel like we say the same thing week in and week out, but like we haven't really had anybody on the podcast where I'm like, man, that was difficult. You know what I'm saying? Like that was hard. Like
yeah,
he was just honest. And like even when it came to the taco thing, he was like, well, you know, I just like it super simple. I like beef and I like cheese and a little more cheese and stack it to the top. You know, like it wasn't
yeah,
like he wasn't trying to
yeah,
pretend that he was Action Bronson and some like cuisine, you know, official. Like he was just a real
yeah.
dude. And man, so kind of like last week, and I already made this comparison, but in a different way now. Kind of like last week or 2 weeks ago with Dan Miguel from Great Lakes Finesse. Uh, you know, hearing him talk, you know, I got all these like medium light 7.6 rods in my shopping cart now, and all these like Stratic
Right.
CI4s and Vanfords and older
Yeah.
Stellas that I can almost afford, whatever, in my cart on like eBay and crap. Made me want to go do it, but now like I really want to go rip around in a Blazer. Like I really want
Right.
to go push a Blazer down the water.
Just hammer down, slide up into some and just start throwing around a jig and just knocking them in their heads.
Correct. Yes, that sounds really
Right.
fun.
Like
Like even like
exactly. Yeah.
on one of his videos, I don't remember, it might have been a James River one, I can't remember, but on one of his videos, I thought, honestly, you know, because like, let me just make a vulnerable confession to anybody listening or watching right now. I'm very
Oh,
bad at initial vibes. Like I'm really, really bad at it. Like not my own, maybe my own, I don't know. But in terms of interpreting other people's, like for the longest time, I couldn't tell if I thought Ben Milliken was a butthole or not. And I think what it was is that he was just so unashamedly himself that it almost came
yeah.
across as arrogant to me. And now I know that, I guess I don't know, but I believe that I was wrong. You know, like I think he's just himself and he's
Yeah.
not going to water it down for you. And like, God forbid, you know, it's beautiful. But I watched a
Exactly.
video of Cole's and I thought, you know, he's just doing like sponsor talk. That ain't the truth. But he blasted off and he's like, all right, I got to the spot. I passed every boat on the way here. And I'm like, stop. You didn't pass every. He probably did. He,
Yeah.
he probably
Yeah. Without a
actually
doubt.
did. Yeah.
Yeah. I
You
believe it. And the story that he told about like the initial like jump off in the Blazer, and how the first run started and all, like
walking at
that.
60.
Yeah, that's the truth. Like you like gathering, learning, controlling the boat is crazy. I came out of a Champion mile boat, and I never had to do a whole lot to it. Once I loaded it with tackle, it never budged on me. Of course, the top speed was like 65, 66, but
Yeah.
that felt fast. Then I got into the Phoenix, and at 63.5 miles an hour, I was I was going like this, like I couldn't keep it
just
together, like
rocking back and
yeah,
forth. Yeah.
just flying all over the
Dun,
place, and
dun,
it was
dun,
crazy.
dun,
And
dun,
I did
dun.
the same thing, like got on the Facebook, and the
Yeah.
owners pages and the forums, and everybody kind of had the similar kind of deal, and learn to drive. And we made that the other day of hitting 76 in that little boat.
Yeah.
So it's a learning curve, but having the courage to tell that story, like there's
Yeah.
got I've ran a skater for my whole life, and it's been the best boat, and it's never handled. I've never had an issue. And
Right.
you tell the real stories, like this is how it was when I started, and I kind of had to learn. And once you do get to that point where you learn and you understand, like that's when you really know.
Yeah.
That's
exactly
when
right. Yeah.
you really, yeah.
And I think also even the fact that he's sponsored by Blazer, you wouldn't see most dudes who are sponsored by a big boat company be like, yeah, the first time I took it out, I was walking at 60. They'd say something
Exactly.
sort of
Yeah,
like
and
vague, like,
exactly.
it didn't perform how I
Yeah.
wanted it to. But like, obviously, if you just spent top dollar, even if it is a holdover from the year before, if it was a 2022 model or
Mhm.
something, you spend money on a brand new bass boat and it's walking on you at 60. Also, press pause. If you don't know what walking is, to anybody who's listening to this, walking is this sort of thing that happens in bass boats when you start going fast enough. And Nate, you may know more specific on this, but basically the air gets under the hull of the boat, the bottom of the boat in a certain way, where it starts to kind of tipping left and right. And it's really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Some guys just
Yeah. So
won't push
they
it. Some guys will drive through it. Some guys will say, oh, if you go faster, you get past it, whatever. And then some guys look like that one really funny video of the GoPro where that guy's in a boat with girls and he's like, let the bodies hit the flow. And they
Right.
just falls to the ground, right? Dude just slams. Some of it's
Yeah,
it's bad.
exactly.
It's bad. But like
It is.
walking is an uncomfortable experience, especially if you haven't done it much. My old Triton, my 99 TR21, when I got the 250 put on it from the 225, when I hit like 65, 66, she would start walking on me. And I was like, I mean, just a clinched up butthole flying down the river. But
Yeah.
I mean, so tell the people what walking is, Nate.
Yeah.
Because
So
I think you have a better
the
description than I do.
well, I mean, I don't know if it's any better, but I think like the technical term for walking, or chine walking, is where the boat is actually up on pad, where it's at its highest point in the water,
Yep.
and then it actually, for one reason or another, balance, weight, control, something like that, the one side of the boat actually falls off of the pad and kind of sinks down into the wake, and that's kind of why you start walk back and forth, or get pulled side to side. So it yeah, it's something a good handful of manufacturers deal with, boat manufacturers. But learning your equipment, not only does it make you a better fisherman, a better boat driver, handler, but it allows you to speak on the products that you're running,
Yeah.
just like he did. So
Yep. Yeah. So there was so one thing, Nate and I were looking at a forum one time. I think it was we were looking at it together. Maybe you showed me. This dude was like, I bought this here skeeter and it's got all this China walk or something.
China walk.
It's
Yeah.
not, and he wasn't trying to be racist. He's just dumb. He got that China walk on his
Yeah.
boat, but it's not called China. It's CHINE, Chine. Chine. Some people say chine, but it's chine walk. But yeah, there's a feller in, I don't know if he still is, but in the bass club Nate and I used to be in. What's that old boy's name? He's got that Stratus with the Evinrude on the back. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Dennis.
Yeah. Dennis is cool,
yeah.
old dude. He has, I
Yep.
think it's a 225 on that thing too. You'll be going 70. He'll pull up next to you and just keep right on going by, and he's just driving that boat. Don't left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand. Looks like he's milking a cow because he's got the chine walk pattern figured out, and he is just flying down the lake, down the river, whatever, because he knows how to drive it. So when you get a boat that walks, you just got to learn how to drive it. Some boats are notoriously not super fast, but they're very stable. And then some boats are incredibly fast and you have to drive them. You can't just sit there and put it in cruise control. But anyway, I loved his honesty with that. And Blazer boats, look them up. They're dope. They're really cool looking. Seats are dope.
They
Storage
are
is
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not like my Legend. Like the front deck isn't 400 inches wide, but I feel like they're a really good combination where they're not super super narrow. You still get good storage out of them, but they're just lightning fast,
Yeah.
and they look really cool now. Back in the day, no dis, no dis, no dis. But I remember back in the day, like gambler boats were like known to be really fast, but like to me, they just looked like a fast boat that you could fish from. Same thing with Allison's, like no dis. If that's your thing, that's rad, dude. No dis, because you could fly by me at 100 miles an hour, literally. But they just
Yeah,
looked like
without
a
a doubt.
fast boat that you can sort of fish from. Blazers are super fast, but they're super fishable, and I think that's a pretty bad to the bone combination.
Yeah, that's the perfect combination when you're looking at a bass, something that you can fish out of comfortably, but something that's still going to handle the way you want it to handle and meet all your needs, in performance. It's
Yeah,
a good hole shot, shallow running, handles well, turns well, pivots, all that sort of stuff. Like, it's all stuff that you kind of need to learn, and every area you fish is going to be a little bit different, and that can
right.
handle the majority of those areas or circumstances is kind of the perfect storm for a boat.
Yeah. Yeah, and Champlain is like, he's the Champlain kid. He grew up on the shores of it. Champlain is known to eat a boat. I mean, it gets rolling out there. It's
Yeah,
big water. Any fiberglass boat out there is going to be tested. And so the fact that works out there, that's pretty rad. So basically all we're saying is, Blazer, call us. We'll continue to talk like this. If you want to throw us a couple boats, that's fine. If we have to take them,
yes.
we will. Fine. If we have to. But great episode. Make sure to follow that dude. I mean, I feel like you can't help but respect a guy like that who's on his grind, who's a good fisherman, fishing multiple top level trails. I mean, he's talking about doing Toyotas and MLF stuff and NPFL stuff. I had emailed Luke Duncan and told him, hey, we're having Cole Harris on tonight. He's like, oh, that's great, man. Thanks for having him on. Whatever. Like, NPFL is a rad tournament trail. If you're not paying attention to it, you
Oh yeah.
should. I like the way they run it. I like the trophies. I like the scheduling. I like the fact that they're not really in any kind of beef, because I think maybe it's not intentional, but I think there's some weirdness between Major League Fishing and BASS, and NPFL's on the side just killing it, so
Yeah,
look that up.
just cruising.
Just going. Yeah, they're like Dennis.
Yeah.
Just flying by while they're
Just
arguing.
flying by it, just looking.
Just
Yeah.
driving. Yeah. So I think that'll do it, man. We appreciate everybody for listening, for tuning in. And like I said, it's been really rad to see a little bit of an uptick in people watching, listening, whatever, buying the merch at tacklingtacos.com. We are fans of anybody who listens and tunes in. It means the absolute world to us. And we hope that your day, your week, your tackle, your Taco Tuesday is amazing so far. And remember, man, no matter what you're running into, it'll go better. You'll have better results if you keep your brain on positive, because positivity is worth the effort. We'll catch you on the next one.
Peace.
I'm waving with both hands, which is an awkward wave. It's a weird way to wave.
Yeah, what? Just come down, hit the button, sign us out.
All right. My bad.
Thank y'all.